What's going on, good people? We back at it again. It's the Intentional Sports crew. I'm your boy, Matt Elliott, alongside John the Voice, and we got a new video coming to you all talking about our predictions for this weekend's NFL wildcard games. We got a full slate of games this weekend, a lot of action, great games in store for us. Johnny B, how you feeling about this weekend?
Man, Matt, this is one of my favorite sports weekends. I'm expecting some big matchups, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen. Again, big games Saturday and Sunday. And I was looking into the numbers with intention to see what does wild card weekend usually mean as far as the Super Bowl is concerned. Do you know that there have been 6 teams to win the Super Bowl from the wild card spot? Do you know the last team to do it?
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the Green Bay Packers, because I know it hasn't been the Patriots. So I'm just going to say Packers.
Are you sure it was the Packers?
I am not sure, but I am sure it wasn't the Patriots. So
say it with your chest, Matt. You're right. It was the Green Bay Packers. 2010, Aaron Rodgers led that team to Super Bowl from the wild card spot. And so we're going to see who's going to be the Green Bay Packers of this year. We have a tough slate of teams that can absolutely do it, from the Ravens to the Titans. So many other teams from the NFC as well we'll get into. So let's talk about who we think going to win Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, sir. And let's real quick recap the weekend, the slate of games that we have going on. First game of the wild card weekend we have on Saturday, the 9th. We have the Indianapolis Colts versus the Buffalo Bills at that 105 slot. At the 440 slot, we have the Los Angeles Rams versus the Seattle Seahawks. And the nightcap on that Saturday evening at 8:15, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Washington Football Team. And then coming up on Sunday, we have that rematch of last year's playoff game, the Baltimore Ravens versus the Tennessee Titans at 105. We then have at 440, we have the Chicago Bears versus the New Orleans Saints. And then the nightcap on that Sunday evening at 8:15, we have the Cleveland Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let's go back up to the top. John the Voice, who's your prediction for the Colts versus the Bills?
This is going to be a huge game, Matt. And let's do this. Let's have some fun with this. Let's put some time on the clock.
Okay.
Let's put some time on the clock, because I can talk about this all day long, but I can also talk about it in 45 seconds.
Okay.
Put 45 seconds on the clock. Let's do it.
All right, 45 seconds on the clock. Colts versus Bills. Who you got?
All right, look, third-year quarterback Josh Allen killed the game this year, right? Tremendous growth. I love what he's doing with his stats, over 4,000 yards. You know the stats. I love Steph Diggs, but guess what? They have a problem in the running game. Okay. Guess who's good at stopping the run? You had the Indianapolis Colts. You look at that defense. They're the top-ranked scoring defense. They're top 3 in turnovers, and they're number 2 in rushing yards allowed. That, to me, smells like an upset. And don't even get me started on Rivers. Over 4,000 yards passing, 10 interceptions, and 23 touchdowns. And then Jonathan Taylor has been a beast of a rookie out of Stanford. Last game against the Jaguars, 253 yards to finish the season. Give me the Indianapolis Colts.
And I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one, John the Voice. I am sorry, but the Buffalo Bills are killing the game right now, winning 9 of their last 10 games. As you mentioned, Josh Allen, MVP season, really, definitely in the conversation. May not win it, but should be definitely in the conversation. He's completing 69% of his passes. He's throwing over for 285 yards a game. He has a QB rating of 107.2. And guess what the Colts are doing in the last 7 games on that passing defense? They're giving up over 300 yards a game. And they're giving up 70% completion percentage when it comes to the QBs passing the ball. And they're also giving up a QB rating of 103.8. So I will definitely take Josh Allen carving up this Colts secondary. Of course, again, you have Stephen Diggs, who is the number 1 receiver with over 1,500 yards receiving this year and 8 touchdowns on top of that. I definitely have the Bills taking this one over the Colts.
Just like the Buffalo Bills and you, Matt Elliott, your time is up. We're moving on to the next matchup. And, man, we have a doozy coming out of that NFC. I love this matchup. We got the Rams versus the Seahawks. I'll be a gentleman. I'll let you go first. Who you got?
I definitely appreciate you. I definitely have the Seahawks coming out on top with this one. Number one, because definitely if Jared Goff, if he can't go, I definitely do not see John Wolford leading the Rams to a victory over the Seahawks. I just don't see that happening. The Seahawks defense of late is coming along. They're only allowing 200 yards passing per game, a QB rating of 78.3, and Bobby Wagner, he just ups his play and when it's in the playoff time. And you have a safety in Jamal Adams. He has 9.5 sacks this season. He's all over the place. A safety with 9.5 sacks, crazy. Definitely don't see the Rams also being able to stick with, of course, you have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Definitely two of the top receivers in the league. I definitely don't see the Rams being able to keep up with the Seattle offense.
That was cute. Put my time on the clock.
You got 45 seconds, and now.
Listen, let's not overthink this, Matthew. Okay? Let's take time to look at the numbers. The numbers say that the Rams have won against the Seahawks 5 out of the last 6 matchups. Okay. That means something, including week 10 of this year when they beat them 23-16. There is a man on the Rams who owns the Seahawks, and his name is Aaron Donald. Yeah. Aaron Donald is second in sacks in the NFL. Brother has 8 sacks and 3 forced fumbles in the last 6 games from the defensive tackle position. Right. He has 12 sacks and 19 tackles for loss in his 13 career games against Seattle. Guess what that means? Disaster. I give all respect to Russell with those 15 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions in his career home games against the Rams. But guess what? His time is up too, just like mine. Give me the Rams against the Seahawks.
Okay. Definitely a great matchup there. And to a matchup that I wouldn't call so great. I believe that this matchup could possibly be a blowout. You have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Washington football team. John the Voice, you got 45 seconds on the clock. Who you got?
Again, we're not going to overthink this. I think the Buccaneers are going to be too much for the Washington football team, unfortunately. Now, the Buccaneers did not dominate this year like they were supposed to. They only have 1 win against a team with a winning record this year. They throw the ball more than anyone else, and they do it with some effectiveness. They do a good job with that. But guess what? They are going up against a team that, from a defensive standpoint, does an excellent job harassing the quarterback, putting pressure on their running backs. But again, like I said, they have 1 win against a team with a winning record. Everyone else is a losing record. And guess what type of team they're playing on Sunday? A team with a losing record. Give me the Buccaneers.
I do not disagree with you here. I definitely agree that the Bucs will kind of take this one with a little bit of ease. Like you said, Washington, they've been coming on a little late as of defensively. Definitely they average almost 4 sacks a game, so they can definitely get to you, of course, with Chase Young and of course with Montez Sweat on the defensive end. They can definitely create some pressure. We know that Tom Brady struggled a little bit this season when he had some pressure in his face. But I definitely feel as though that the Buccaneers offense is just too much. You have, of course, Antonio Brown, who came out in this last game, 138 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. You still have Chris Godwin, a great receiver in his own right. You have Scotty Miller in the slot. You, of course, have Ronald Jones II, rushing the ball, had a great season as well. I just don't see Washington being able to keep up with the Bucs in this game.
That's too many weapons. Many weapons.
Yep.
Speaking of weapons, we got some weapons in this next matchup, especially on the ground. We have the Baltimore Ravens and that vaunted running attack going up against the Tennessee Titans and their vaunted running attack.
Right.
Who do we think is going to win this matchup, Matt? 45 seconds on the clock.
I'm a homebody. You see I got on the hoodie. I got the Ravens coming out on top. But this is going to be a close game. You have the 2 top rushing teams in the league. Ravens at 191 yards a game. The Tennessee Titans at about 160 yards a game. This game is going to be won in between the tackles, and it's also going to be won by the team who can stop the run more, which I do believe it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens. I do believe they'll step up I also believe that because Lamar Jackson is on that team, he has a chip on his shoulder. He does not want to lose to this team again. And everybody on that team from last year, they do not want a repeat of what happened last year. But Lamar can win this one in the pocket, I believe. In the last 5 games, his QBR rating is 101.8, 115.6, 133.1, 111.5, and 91.0. If Lamar can stay in the pocket and make throws, I believe that the Ravens can take this one. But I believe they will win by a small margin.
That's a good prediction. For once, you sound like you know what you're talking about. I agree with you.
Hey.
Put my 45 seconds on the clock. Listen here, Matt. Listen, the Ravens are finishing hot. I don't know if there's a hotter team finishing the season right now. They're winners of 5 straight. And 4 out of those 5 matchups, they have won by more than 14 points. Right. They're not just beating teams. They're winning with some conviction. Right. They're meaning it, right? They're finishing games strong and finishing really strong at the end of the game as well. Right. Listen, you have 1 out of 3 of their last 5 games, correction. They had at least one 100-yard rusher. What does that mean? That they know how to run the ball in many different ways. Right. You have Lamar Jackson. Of course, you know the stat. He's the first quarterback in NFL history to finish a season with 1,000 yards twice in his career, and he did it back to back. Henry posted, I know my time is up, but I got something to say. Henry posted 10 games of more than 100 yards, 2,000-yard rusher. He killed it this season. But here's the issue. Mm-hmm. Only 3 teams gave up more yards per game than the Titans. Only 3. And by contrast, the Ravens were a top 10 team in giving up the fewest yards. Right. So if we understand that defense wins championship, give me the Baltimore Ravens.
Definitely don't agree with that. And defense win championships, talking about defenses, we have one of the top defenses this league has seen this year. Talking about those New Orleans Saints who've been playing lights out. Defensively, we have the Bears versus the Saints. Who do you have, John the Voice? You got 45 seconds on the clock.
Listen, I'm not even going to get into Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. I think the numbers are there for them. I think it's easy to say that from an offense perspective, they are the better team. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're going to struggle whatsoever moving the ball up and down that field. This is where they stand out, which is a tremendous stat. This, as much as the offense gets a lot of praise, and rightfully so, that defense is a top 5 defense in the league this year. They are top 5 in the majority of the categories, including yards per game, pass completions by the offense per game, rushing yards. They are number 4, and rushing touchdowns given up, they're number 2. Mm-hmm. Guess what the Chicago Bears want to do? They're going to do their best to do what? Run the ball. And it's going to be a tough time against that New Orleans Saints and that defense.
It's going to be very tough. I definitely agree with you on this one. I definitely believe the Saints will be too much for the Bears. I mean, you got Cam Jordan, who has 7.5 sacks. You got Demario Davis, who has 119 tackles. You have Trey Hendrickson, who has 12.5 sacks on the season. You also got, of course, Marshawn and Janoris Jenkins on the at the cornerback position. If they're playing to their level, they can be, some of the top corners in the game. I just believe that if the Saints can control David Montgomery, which I believe that they can bottle him up, and if you put his hands in the game of Mitchell Trubisky, I don't believe he has what it takes to help the Bears overcome the Saints. And like you said, that offense is crazy. Of course, you got Alvin Kamara. I mean, you got Michael Thomas possibly coming back. Emmanuel Sanders is coming in as of late. I definitely feel as though the Saints will be too much for the Chicago Bears team, and I have the Saints winning. So definitely. And moving on, we have the next game. We have the Steelers versus the Browns.
Yes, sir.
This is a repeat match of the Week 17, and we of course know that the Browns took that one. And that allowed this rematch to happen this weekend. So, John the Voice, who you have? Browns or Steelers? 45 seconds.
It's easy to look at the rankings and look at their win-losses and say, okay, well, the Pittsburgh Steelers should be the team to win, and they should. However, if you look into the numbers a little bit more, you'll see there are some holes in that Pittsburgh Steelers offense. Okay. As a whole, they are ranked 25th out of 32 teams in total offense. 25. Pretty bad. From a rushing yards perspective, they are abysmal. You think I'm lying? Let's talk about it. Okay. They have 84 yards per game rushing the ball. Let's put that in perspective. The number one team, their rival, their foe, the Baltimore Ravens. Guess how many yards they get rushing the ball game? 191. 84 yards is not going to get it done in the playoffs. You have to be you cannot be one-dimensional. Give me the Cleveland Browns as Baker Mayfield marches down that field and gets not just their first appearance in the playoffs since 2002, but also their first victory in the playoffs since 2002.
I am going to have to disagree with you on this one, John the Voice. I do not see the Browns coming out on top. Number one, they're going to have a full strength a team on this wild card matchup, or in this wild card matchup, I should say. You got Ben coming back. You got all the starters on the defense coming back. And just to be quite frank, I believe that the Steelers will just overwhelm the Browns a little bit, mainly because the Browns gave up the third most passing yards this season, almost 4,000 passing yards this whole season. And I believe Ben Roethlisberger, with the weapons that he has, of course you got Juju, of course you got Deontay Johnson, of course you got Chase Claypool. I think these guys can make a lot of noise against this secondary, which is pretty much abysmal outside of Denzel Ward. Also, I think the Steelers can win on defense. I know my time is up, but let me give you some stats real quick. The Pittsburgh defense ranks third in total yards a game defensively at 305 yards a game. Also, they blitz 38% of the time, and they also get QB hurries 12% of the time. I say that because Baker Mayfield has a QBR rating of 45.7 while under pressure. If TJ Watt and his defensive line can get to Baker and make him make some poor decisions, I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers will come out on top of this game.
Matt, you did a good job with those numbers. You're dead wrong, but you did good.
I beg to differ again. We disagreed a lot this episode, but we're all going to see this coming weekend. We definitely cannot wait to catch some of these games, and we definitely want to hear you guys' prediction as well. So if you guys can subscribe to us on YouTube, Intentional Sports Podcast, we would want to hear who you guys have winning as well. Are you with Team MJE or are you with Team John the Voice? Let us know in the comment section. Follow us on IG. Again, I'm at MJE Productions.
I am at John the Voice on IG. And whatever you do, do it with intention.